This is a WKP live stream. Hello and welcome to WKP. Today we're going to be doing a forecast on Hurricane Ida, which has wind right now of 105 miles per hour, and further strengthening is possible and very likely. Let's get into this stream right now. Alrighty, so I'm going to bring you to the satellite imagery of Hurricane Ida. As you can see, there is an eye on this storm. It's more visible on the it's more visible once it turns to night, but you can see there is a small eye on this storm, and there's a lot of convection in this very nice looking hurricane. It's moving towards Louisiana, is going to be making landfall likely tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening, though the effects of this storm will be arriving tomorrow. So if you can evacuate or can get to a shelter, do it now, because you only have a couple more hours until those tropical storm winds start arriving. And once the tropical storm winds arrive, you cannot go out driving to try to get out of it, because trees start blowing over at tropical storm force winds. I want to bring you to this picture right here. So this picture is of a tree that was knocked down by some wind we had in my neighborhood, and the wind that knocked this tree down, I only recorded 22-mile-an-hour wind that day. That means that low amount of wind was able to knock down a very large ceramic pot with a large palm tree in it. That little bit amount of wind was able to knock down that. It was able to knock down an empty trash can in the neighborhood, and it was able to blow up the carpet. So think about that. Add another 20 miles an hour to that, and you're at tropical storm force winds. And add that with rain, that's when you start getting trees knocked down, and that can lead to a whole bunch of other dangerous stuff. So I'm going to bring you back to our forecast here. Let's go to the official NHC forecast. So, NHC is forecasting a major hurricane and a Category 4 on landfall with winds of 130 miles per hour. Based on the strengthening trends we're seeing, I think that peak strength of Ida will be 125 to 130 miles per hour, give or take what we're going to see. Also, I forgot to mention this in the intro, there is a gospel message in the description. Please read it. Please do that. Anyway, or not anyway, but please read it. We're going to also be seeing a ton of storm surge with this. 10 to 15 feet of storm surge for certain areas. We're also going to be seeing 7 to 11 feet. Lake Pontchartrain, 5 to 8 feet. Lake Maurepas, sorry if I mispronounced that. 4 to 6 feet. Mobile Bay, even 2 to 4 feet. Ocean Springs, 4 to 7 feet. In Sabine Pass, 1 to 3 feet of storm surge. Now, why are we seeing so much storm surge? Especially on the, especially over on this side. I'm sorry, I'm not good with my geography skills. Why are we going to be seeing so much storm surge? So, as this storm moves on land, as you can see, that's about where we'll see landfall. The wind of this storm is going to be curving inwards in this direction. That curvature of the wind is pushing all that water on land. That's why we're seeing a heavier storm surge on this side here than this side. But there's still going to be quite a bit of storm surge all over. So this storm is going to bring in a lot of water. Because of those winds pushing in that water, we're going to be seeing some very high storm surge. Here's the aircraft reconnaissance for this storm. This is from the last update. They're still going through the storm. So far, it seems like they've caught winds of 83 to 96 miles per hour. Knots per hour. The highest winds they've caught looks around 90 knots. So that is, I believe, over 100 miles an hour. So we'll see if they catch any higher winds. This may stay the same strength overnight, but I definitely think it'll be a Category 3 on landfall. So, as far as weakening goes, I do not think this storm will weaken until landfall. Let's take a look at the intensity guidance. Yes, we have new intensity guidance. Most models are now bringing it to a weak Cat 3, with one bringing it to Category 4, and then after landfall it'll quickly weaken into a tropical storm and then a tropical depression. So, I'm thinking that we're going to see the highest winds probably at 125 to 130, like I said, so a strong Category 3 on landfall. Now, this storm doesn't seem to be strengthening as fast as previously predicted, but the pressure in Ida is still dropping. We have pressure right now of 969 millibars, which is down from what it was before, meaning they're still strengthening. And Ida's going through an area where there's warm water, and there's also reduced or decreasing wind shear. So there is a possibility, it's quite likely we'll see more strengthening. Just how much is still the question. I know for the people in Louisiana, it would be better if this thing didn't come in as strong. So hopefully that'll happen. But we are still watching this storm to see what happens. Let's go into the models. So I want to bring you first to the GFS model, predicting around 954 millibars on land on landfall, and that is actually quite low. I believe that's Category 3 strength. Right now we're at 969 millibars, and the pressure's still dropping consistently, so we may actually see 954 millibars on land, and we likely won't see this thing weaken out of tropical storm state until it moves over Tennessee. So it'll be staying a tropical storm for quite a long while. This is another trend that is showing up on the H-Wharf model. I'm going to bring you to that model right now. This model I use a lot when it comes to hurricane. Well, I use it quite a bit when it comes to hurricanes. But H-Wharf is predicting an even stronger hurricane, 942 millibars. That is Category 4 hurricane strength. And the H-Wharf has this thing staying a hurricane well over Tennessee, and it keeps it as a tropical storm, well over Tennessee, and all the way into North Carolina. Now, how accurate this is, we'll find out, but the common consensus seems to be that we're going to have a long-lasting storm. Let's take a look at the CMC model. This one is the least accurate. It only has it at 981 millibars, and it has it weakening into a tropical storm again, just a short time after landfall. Again, CMC is not accurate, but I'll bring you to one more model, H-Wharf, and we'll see what this is forecasting. So, the H-Wharf model is predicting, the H-Wharf HMON. I messed up there. HMON is predicting about the same as the H-Wharf model, 943 millibars on landfall, so a Category 4. As you can see, the HMON model is predicting a very, very nice eye, a very well-defined one, and it's forecasting it to not turn back, it's forecasting it to stay a tropical storm well into Tennessee. So, what we're seeing now, based on the trends from these models, is that this storm is going to last as a tropical storm for a very long time. That depends on how strong it comes in. Now, if it does come in at Category 4 strength, this will last for a tropical storm for quite some time. The National Hurricane Center still forecasts this to be a Category 4 on landfall. Now, I want to bring you to this rainfall forecast. Look at all the rainfall that is expected. Certain areas, 15 to 20 inches. Other areas, anyway, a lot of rain, 10 to 15 inches for a lot of areas, and 15 to 20 inches for certain areas, especially New Orleans areas, could experience very high chances of rainfall, very high rainfall. So, this amount of rainfall could lead to flash flooding. As you can see, there is a high risk of flash flooding anywhere from Lake Charles down to around New Orleans. And there is a moderate flash flooding risk all the way up to around Memphis, Tennessee. So it's possible we could see a very wide range of where flash flooding could occur. And what we need to check on is the speed of this storm, because what I've noticed from past forecasts is as these storms move over states like Tennessee and into other interstates like that, the risk of flash flooding goes up depending on speed. Now, from what I'm seeing, it looks like this storm is going to speed up over the next 5 days, which is really good, because if it speeds up, then as we get past Tennessee, then we'll see that reduced chance for flash flooding, and that's definitely a good thing. But as you can see, major hurricane on landfall. Now, if you're watching this and you have any questions, I'm going to go into the live stream right now and answer your questions. So, please comment those questions down in the description below, and I will answer them. It doesn't seem like we have any questions, so we're going to keep going with this live stream. Now, I want to bring you to the spaghetti tracks for this storm. As you can see, it's a very common consensus. Actually, I'm going to refresh this page. Sorry about that. Okay, the models pretty much exactly agree where we're going to be seeing a direct landfall in Louisiana, and it doesn't seem like we have much difference until we get further out in the forecast, where some models are bringing it down into the Carolinas, while some are bringing it out over New York. So, basically what we're seeing is the common consensus, direct New Orleans landfall. That's likely what we're going to be seeing as of now. I believe there's one more thing I want to show you guys. And, note that. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we are going to be seeing a very strong storm, and let me show you the map for storm surge warnings. Okay, here we go. As you can see, Morgan City, Houma, Slidell, Gulfport, Biloxi, and Mobile Bay, all are in this area, this warning area for storm surge. So as you can see, a broad area where we could be seeing that storm surge inundation, and some of the high storm surge right around here, where we could be seeing that 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. So some very, very high storm surge coming with this storm. I'm going to bring you to the key messages. So, there's a danger of life-threatening storm surge inundation Sunday along the coast of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama within the storm surge warning area. Extremely life-threatening inundation of 9 feet or greater above ground level is possible somewhere within the area from Morgan City, Louisiana to the coast of Mississippi, overtopping of local levees, outside of the hurricane and storm damage risk reduction system is possible where local inundation values may be higher. Interest throughout the warning area should follow any advice given by local officials. Ida is expected to be extremely dangerous major hurricane when it reaches the coast of Louisiana. Hurricane force winds are expected Sunday in portions of the hurricane warning area along the Louisiana coast, including metropolitan New Orleans, with a potentially catastrophic wind damage possible where the core of Ida moves on shore. Actions to protect life and property should be rushed to completion in the warning area. Damaging winds, especially in gusts, will spread inland near the track of the center of Ida across portions of southeastern Louisiana and southwestern Mississippi Sunday night and early Monday. These winds will likely lead to widespread tree damage and power outages. Ida is likely to produce heavy rainfall Sunday into Monday across the central Gulf Coast from southeast Louisiana, coastal Mississippi, and far southwestern Alabama, resulting in considerable to life-threatening flash and urban flooding and significant river flooding impacts. As Ida moves inland, significant flooding impacts are possible across portions of the lower Mississippi, Tennessee, and Ohio valleys through Wednesday. Okay, now that we went through that, I want to bring you to two other things here. This is the arrival time of winds. So by Sunday 8 a.m., that's when the tropical storm force winds are going to be arriving in Louisiana. So that means you need to evacuate now if you can, or go to a shelter now if you can. And if you decide to stay at home, you need to have a kit ready and be prepared. And please, I would go to government websites. If you decide to stay at home, go to government websites to see the safest ways of surviving a hurricane in your own home. Though I wouldn't, personally, I wouldn't do that. But I know some people are worried about the coronavirus in the shelters. You can also check on. I would also check on government sites and or on your local government TV stations, radio stations, whatever, to find out what precautions the shelters are taking. But I would go to a shelter if you cannot get out, because I do know there is a lot of traffic with the people evacuating Louisiana. So please be ready for this. And yes. And now we're going to go to the wind speed probabilities. A 90% chance of tropical storm force winds extending